Я пока представлю нашего следующего гостя, Кейс Донкерс. Он, собственно, удивительный человек, который, когда мы проводили первый форум живых городов 7 лет назад, в 2014 году, одна из соосновательниц живых городов, Дарья Жукова, когда я спросил, а кого нам пригласить, она говорит, обязательно нужно пригласить Кейса Донкерса. Я говорю, а кто это такой? И она мне показала интервью с этим человеком. Он урбанист, архитектор, такой социальный дизайнер, то есть он дизайнер и физических пространств, и вот как раз коммуникации между людьми в городах, в своем родном Эйндховене, ну и в других городах. Он 50 раз был с лишним уже в России за последние 10 лет. Многие города его хорошо знают. Там в Екатеринбурге он проводил очень интересные образовательные программы. Вот. И чем кейс интересен, тем, что он абсолютно, как бы, так сказать, в доску свой. Есть такой маленький город Воткинск, ну, относительно маленький, 100 000 человек, и он туда регулярно ездит, потому что горожане Воткинска очень его любят, вот, приглашают его, и он там регулярно, вот знаете, вот в русской вот этой шапке меховой где-нибудь в лесу там сидит, обсуждает с ними вопросы развития города. В общем, для Кейса приезды в Россию – это уже такая часть, естественно, его жизни. Вот, и я сейчас, собственно, Кейс, I saw that you are here, so hello.
Hi, everybody.
I just shared how you visit Votkinsk during the winter time in a warm hut, and all those your many different visits to Russia, and also your path, your experience in the Netherlands. So let me start with a very simple question: are you a happy person?
I am, for sure.
And what
makes
a short
you
answer,
happy? Maybe, but I am a happy person.
What makes you happy?
I guess the balance in life between learning and joy, let's say, of the practical things in life, having children, having grandchildren, the way I live, the city I live in, everything is in balance. So I'm a happy person.
When you worked with Eindhoven, one of the concepts and one of the projects you implemented there was city as a lab, right? City as a laboratory. Could you tell us a little bit about this project from the context of how this also helps create a happy environment, happy sort of atmosphere in the city of Eindhoven?
Yeah, it started in the year 2000 or a little bit earlier, but I got a job at the university. Besides of my job for the city, working for the city in a practical way, I also was able to learn and to work with students. So at the age of 50, I changed my life a little bit by sharing my experience with younger people. And that changed a lot of my life, not only with my own children, but also with other people. And I became aware that they could be my teachers, and now they are my teachers for sure. So that was a big change, and I started to do projects with them, short-time projects for 1 year or even 3 months to make the city better. So practical questions from the city, and we all worked on answers for that. And once in a year, we presented those results, or the top 3 or top 5 of those results, to the city during the Dutch Design Week. And more people visited our city at that time. And I was able to share those thoughts of young people with a number of people. And it made me very happy also to constantly learn from what's going on in the country, what's going on in the city, even close to my own situation. So, and that's what helped me, because since then, since the year 2000, we started this project City as a Lab. When I got retired in 2015, I wanted to go on doing this, and that's what I still do. Especially when I also go to Russia and the Russian students come to my city, I was able to do projects with them. And one of the best results is the project I called 60 plus and 30 minus, to create a new community, or to create a way of living together. We call it share and care, taking care of each other, taking care of generations, and find out a new way of living. That was also found out by our parents, our grandparents. It's a pretty natural way of living also in Russia in the past. So, and we learned from it. And I would like to live myself this way well, in the future, in my future.
Case, it's very interesting. I remember that Eindhoven went through a very difficult period when Philips moved its production facilities to Asia. And what was it, 1980s or late 1980s, I guess?
It was beginning of the 90s, let's say. We lost the production aspects, the making industry, as I call it. So it went to lower cost countries like Korea. And many people became unemployed, but we learned from it and we started up a new identity in the end.
So it's very interesting because in Russia, many cities, like there are 300 what's called monotowns, right? Cities which were heavily dependent on one or two, maybe sometimes three industrial plants, factories, which for many reasons, the production volume subsided and the economy also went down as well. And so when Eindhoven lost its industries, was it a happy city at that time?
No. No, the opposite. It was a very depressed city. There was crying people on the national news, especially from our city. And we were well known as the ugliest city, even in the Netherlands, not only the most unhappy, but also the ugliest city in the Netherlands. Nobody wanted to live here or to stay here after studying.
So this is extremely interesting because I don't know, people could correct me, but from what I saw all over the world, Eindhoven is a real example of city transformation, also based on collaboration, also based on communication, based on creative economy. And so how this transition happened from the city which was in depression and very bad social, atmosphere to where it's right now, a beautiful city full of, innovations and bright sort of young smiling people and a lot of, companies and a booming economy. So how this transition has happened? What were the key 2 maybe or 3 factors which helped the city to move on?
Well, first of all, it's in our DNA, let's say, to collaborate, like Annemarie was telling already, not only in the Netherlands, but especially in the south part where I'm living in. It's about collaboration. The Campina industry, for instance, milk, it started in our country, in our part of the country, by collaborating farmers to gather their milk together to make them stronger. But the second aspect is the fact that our mayor at the time, a new one, he decided to collaborate with 2 other partners. We called it a triple helix, so a triangle of collaboration between businessmen, university, and city department. And it became the key to our future, let's say, the key to our new identity. Because when they decided to collaborate, they said we need each other and we have to survive by building up on our DNA, building on our knowledge, let's say. The fact that people lost their jobs, they started up their own companies, let's say, the well-known inventors of Philips products. They lost their jobs, but they started their own jobs, their own companies, small companies. And I call them the seeds of Philips, let's say, the seeds to create a new field of flowers in the end. And that's what happened with our city. The seeds of Philips started their own industry and became, instead of a practical manufacturing city, we became an identity of knowledge, let's say, a thinking industry instead of a practical industry.
I remember you even called a program or the city as a whole a brain port, right? A brain.
Yes. Later on, it was called brain port. Yeah. Because we are connected with Amsterdam and Rotterdam as the seaport or the airport. We were called ourselves the brain port because the brains were still alive in our city.
And it's very interesting, talking about brain, we immediately think about this concept of a smart city. And when people talk about smart cities, they always think about technologies and stuff like this. But I know that you developed a different concept. Could you share with us what it was?
Yes, it was in 2015. We did a workshop with Russian students. So they implemented their ideas in our city, and it was beautiful because we found out that only developing one part of the brains, the counting part, it's not in balance anymore. So we decided to develop the other part, the sensitivity, let's say, and we called it not smart city, but wise city. to create wisdom and to have wisdom as a new aspect of balance, let's say, and to create balance again in your brains, to use both parts of the brains to be happy in the end.
Mm-hmm. And how can a city become a wise city? So what do we do? What people do? Should they go and study some programs, or
well, for me, the solution is city as a lab, because I was able to create and to work with young people, as I told you. This idea of 60 plus and 30 minus community, it's about learning from each other, about share and care, about balance. And I guess it's an imaginary concept, let's say. It's more about being aware of two parts of the brains to keep your own balance, let's say, close to yourself, and be aware of other aspects in life. That's not only about knowledge, about figures, about data, technology, but it's also about feeling, about sensitivity, about well, other aspects in life. And I guess what I learned from it is that, and what I found out also, by the way, in the Russian people, that's what I feel connected to. It's the same what I experience in my life here. It's more or less the same mentality, the same awareness. So that's why I call students my teachers now. I learn from them, I learn from their idea about the future. And well, for me, it's only a small part of my life, let's say, but for them, it's a big part. So, and it gives me joy and happiness to share my experience for them. They can use what they like, but I can, well, put a mirror to them and help them a little bit in being aware of their own balance, let's say.
It's very interesting when we look at the participants of the forum, this forum or any other forum, mostly it's the adult people. So it's people 35 plus. And both Anna-Marie and Marilyn and you, we all talk about the importance of working with younger generations, because they will inherit the cities and they will run the cities in 10, 20 years. And so I just had an idea that we need to create new, how you say it, a new type of events where we mix together not only the adults talk about how important it is to work with younger people, and younger people do some other stuff, but we create some, common projects and common, context for our learning and mutual learning, as you said. Maybe moving towards some final points. When I visited with our colleagues from Living Cities Eindhoven, I saw that it is a happy city. I looked at the, at the faces of people on the streets. People smile. People are very relaxed. They definitely breathe. There is a lot of nature. So you mentioned that the collaboration between city government, businesses, and the university was a driving force behind this transformation. You visited many Russian cities. Of course, each one has a different, route, different history. But if you could share maybe one or two key points, what we can do starting tomorrow or maybe tonight to create a better, more happy, more harmonious environment in our cities, what would those 2 points be?
Well, I think start at your own front door. That's what I did more than 40 years ago. To do maintenance, let's say, for the house I was living in, to do this together with my neighbors. Instead of one by one, we started to create a maintenance fund. So you can start in your own front door, in your own neighbors, with your own neighbors, to create some results, let's say, of collaboration. That's the first step that is possible. But also get inspired by good examples in other cities. I worked, for instance, with the Ruhr area, the German mining area that's far more bigger than our region is, in having this bad moments in time when they lost their mining industry at the end of the 80s. So we collaborated with them. What I see now is, that's why I love to go to Russia, also to Votkinsk, because what I see, what Alexander is doing there, it's amazing to see that he got so much results for the people in the city, creating beautiful places in the forest, for children to play, for for adults to walk along the lake line, let's say, sports, all those elements are meant for people in the city. So for me, it's a very inspiring example of, and you should maybe hear from it too, to hear and to see how living cities could be in the near future. Look at the great examples in your own country and learn from them too. So not only starting your own front door, but also learning from inspirational projects.
Beautiful. It's inspiring that what Marilyn has started with, the Master Code of Care, you sort of also speak about care and share, or share and care.
Yeah.
And we all spoke about younger generations and the importance of working with them. And I would like to thank you, Kees, because you definitely share a lot of both practical knowledge and wisdom when you come. And I spoke with many people who work with you, and they say, because of Kees, things started to move in our cities. So really, it is an important acknowledgement of your impact. And thank you very much, Anna-Marie and Marilyn, for joining us today. I think it was a beautiful discussion. We'll transcribe the key points because they're very rich, and we want to keep them, and maybe make some articles from this. And so thank you very much again for your time, and I pass it on to Marina. Marina, я знаю, есть еще пару минут подвести какие-то итоги.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Есть ли у нас пара минут? Как у нас по времени? Я вижу, что Александра уже подключилась к нам.
У нас есть 2 минуты на то, чтобы сказать пару добрых слов. Да.
Да, ну, наверное, самое главное, да, такой очень практичный пример кейса в том плане, что город Эйндховен в начале 90-х стал абсолютно неинтересным, несчастливым, непригодным для жизни, и все хотели оттуда уехать. И для нас это очень такой яркий пример, наверное, того, как можно, несмотря на то, если вы даже считаете, что в вашем городе не все хорошо, есть примеры того, как, объединившись и взаимодействуя с заинтересованными сторонами в городе, можно сделать город процветающим, счастливым, вдохновленным. И вот, собственно, Лев говорил о том, что теперь, посещая Эйндховен, он видит счастливые лица, полное взаимодействие с природой, гармоничное развитие и совершенно прекрасные городские пейзажи. И секрет заключается в том, что, во-первых, люди всегда, вот в Нидерландах, да, умели договариваться и сотрудничать. И вот, собственно, наверное, это первый такой ключ, да, что нам нужно уметь находить общий язык и коммуникацию с разными, очень разными людьми, с разными интересами, может быть, возможно, не отстаивая свою когда-то точку зрения, да, находя компромиссы, вот этот общий баланс. И опять же, Кейс говорил о том, что очень важно обеспечить взаимодействие между бизнесом. Вот в части Эйндховена это была коллаборация бизнеса, городских властей и университета, который стал локомотивом развития города. И из погибающей территории, из которой ушли ключевые индустриальные, такие промышленные организации и производства, город стал таким интеллектуальным центром Нидерландов. И еще один очень важный момент про то, что если мы говорим о таком центре разума, да, интеллектуальном центре, очень важно помнить, что интеллект — это и, разум, да, человека и сознание. Это не только цифры и логика и математика, но это еще и креатив. И вот то, о чем говорила Анна-Мария, это связанность с творческим, со своим началом. И именно это дает пространство для экспериментов, для новых идей, для новых возможностей. И для возможности в том числе соединяться с людьми на условиях партнерства, сотрудничества, взаимного уважения. И вот, собственно, движение Кейса было share and care, да, делиться и заботиться друг о друге, как такой прекрасный, по-моему, лозунг для нас, для всех, для того, чтобы начинать заботиться и делиться ресурсами друг с другом в развитии своих родных территорий.